am Chester Dunham, and this is the Dunham Report, a marketplace of ideas, of information for labor, civil rights, and other issues of social justice. I am Dunham, and I'm the host of the show, and my co-host is Mr. Wesley Crenshaw. And tonight, you, the viewing audience, we do have valuable information and a good show for you tonight. We are lacking an individual, a guest who was supposed to have been here, but he's not. And that was State Representative Al Williams was supposed to have been with us tonight to talk about a lot of political stuff that we will be discussing and talking about. So we want to move on, and we want to give you a lot of valuable information that we was preparing and putting in place. And tonight, mostly, we're going to be talking about politics. We're going to be talking about this upcoming election. We're really going to be talking about November the 6th, which is a few weeks off, and that's all. And share with you some valuable information. Wes, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, can't complain.
Well, very good. I think we will get right into the show, and we probably want to try to, I know from time to time we still will be talking about it, but we want to finish up this situation dealing with the Supreme Court nominee. Our show last time we was on, we were talking about the individual who was a candidate for the Supreme Court. Now today we will have to deal with him as one of the Supreme Court, the newly elect Supreme Court Justice. Wes, one thing that I would like to start out with the, and we will get into this, which is Kavanaugh, the newly confirmed and elect Supreme Court Justice, is that he took the place of Justice Kennedy. And Justice Kennedy came up front before the court, before during the hearing. And one of the key things that he said that he liked the individual, he thought he was qualified, but if he had anything to do with it, he would never vote in favor of selecting him as a justice because of the background and a lot of other things that happened. He just couldn't afford to support him. Now that was his statement. That's in the news, that's record, that's everywhere. And I felt good about that, but then I don't feel so good towards Justice Kennedy now, because saying all of those things and then came right back and was the person who gave him the oath, then I thought that if you said those kind of things and thought that he should be a justice because of moral things and other kind of things happen, and then turn around and was the person who swore him in and give him the oath, I think that ain't saying too much for me. What you think about that?
Well, I've kind of lost all respect for most of the people on the Supreme Court, but isn't he the justice that decided to step down so that Donald Trump would be able to appoint another person?
That is correct.
So then my issue would have been, if he was so concerned about who was going to replace him, he would have given more thought to when he was going to step down. I think that this is all a joke. I think that, I hate to say this, but in my opinion, this is all part of the white male culture. When it's all said and done, they all work together. I believe that Justice Kennedy could have easily decided to leave earlier, where he would have given another path. Never given Obama opportunity to appoint somebody. But I've never thought a whole lot of him once I realized that he waited until Donald Trump was president and then he decided to step down. So now that to me, he knew he was going to get a conservative person in his place. The issue was how conservative. But I don't think that was something that he had in his mind. We may have already had a closet conservative and did not know it in him.
You are so on point. We get into this discussion just a little bit, and all of this is information coming from the press, coming from media, from journalists, from other individuals who have did research everywhere and share this information with us, and we're going to continue to talk about this a little bit and share this information even along with you all, the viewing audience. It said the new Justice Brett Kavanaugh on Tuesday was confirmed to the highest court of the land, which is the United States Supreme Court. Now he is confirmed and he is a Supreme Court Justice. They said he took his seat at the end of the bench to the left of Chief Justice Robinson. This is a moment that Republican had dreamed. This is what people are saying. So this was a moment that the Republican had been dreaming of for decades. To have 5 solid conservative justices on the court. Now when the framers put this thing in place, when they sit down and wrote the Constitution, and they talk about it, when they're talking about balancing power, and they did that for a reason that no party will have control over the other. It wasn't set up to be dominant by one group of party people or individual. That's why they had the scale that check and balance. But now it's all out of whack. And Supreme Court is the people who they are the ones who interpret the law. They are the last one that comes up. In other words, the Congress sit down and they put in place, they make the laws, they do all of these other different things, and they bring it to a vote, both party, Republican and Democrat, and then the President of the United States will sign it into law and it becomes law. Then it's up to the Supreme Court to interpret the law and say what is this and what is that. And now we have a situation here where we have a Congress which is the 2 parties. I mean, not the 2 parties, but the House and the Senate. And so what happened is that now but it's one way. And there's nothing wrong with that if people do it the correct way. But now they're taking it, and it's all together now dictatorship. We talk about Russia, and we talk about China, we talk about all these other communist countries. And we are getting to where we are worse than they are. And this country wasn't set up that way. But that's what's happening now, and that's a fact. And then we run in and we get into everyone else's business. Run around the countries all over the globe to stick our nose in this one business and the other one about how their government is running and all of this sort of stuff. And we are the most dangerous and most consistent group of lawmakers there is. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, Chester, it's not surprising to me because I've always believed that when it comes right down to it, all of the families in the world, we got a group of families in the world that control all the funds, all the money. Some of them are Russian, some of them are Jewish, some of them are from the far Middle East, some in Africa. What I'm saying is that in this country we talk about how we're going to have the best, people in office and whatnot. But do you really recall that when the towers went down in 9/11, that the first people who got out of this country was that I believe the Bushes helped the Saudis get all their folks out of this country. So if you start asking people what's going on here, you see the president's son-in-law, who's very wealthy, talking to the guy who runs Saudi Arabia, which is very wealthy, talking to the Russian oligarchs, whatever they call them. But the bottom line is this: I'm trying to make this point: is that when it's all said and done, we follow the money. When it's all said and done, we talk a good game, but it's really all about money. You heard Donald Trump say that we don't want to upset the trade balance between us and Saudi Arabia, dealing with the killing of this journalist. Well, if you go back and look at all what's going on here, they're never going to do anything about that. What they're concerned about is money.
That's right.
The major families in the country and the world are concerned about money. So whether it's a German family or a Jewish family or American families, the ones at the very top that's got all the money. Now there may be something that's happening here in a little sense is that we have what we call old money and new money. We got a lot of young guys who are making money in the high-tech industry now. The question is going to be how they're going to get fitted into the old money group. The old money groups that transcend national lines. Let's hear Donald Trump tell me he's a nationalist. Well, what he's basically trying to tell the rest of the boys in his club worldwide that he has arrived. He's got money to spend. So what I'm trying to say is that we are looking at the political implications, but I'm trying to tell you we need to follow the money nation worldwide. That's where it's going. When you got all the people together, really got all the money, they all got clubs that we don't even know about.
Well, you are on point. On point. Because like I said, you follow the framers and the people who put this Constitution and put the laws and the rules together, and they just kind of, this group now, it seems like it just, years ago, it was coming up, and years ago, with the presidents and the Congress, the Senate on one side and the House on the other, and which is they call the higher house and the lower house, and all of this sort of stuff. But the key thing was that it was so many moderate individuals, so many people that you could have take your hat off to and respect them so much on both parties, Republican and Democrat. But it seems like all of that's gone now, and it's just one way, and that's what's happening now in D.C. And that's not good at all. It's bad. Even I can go back to some of the in moderate time, in my time, Earl Warren. I think to me he was one of the most best justice or honest individual that we had. I was trying to think what I would prefer him or might call him, because he was a moderate individual. He was in the middle. He believed in rule with what's right versus wrong, and that's what we're talking about. That's what presidents are supposed to do, but they're not doing it now. Here's a situation, Warren and all those individuals, even presidents who nominate them and appoint them and then have them confirm and push to make sure that they get confirmed by the Senate and get on the court, and afterwards they get mad themselves because the justice might vote just the opposite from the way they want them to vote. I think Souter, what his name was? Yeah, I think he was appointed by a Republican. And several of them, Eisenhower, what you call them, but they were a lot of these individuals, and they turn out to be, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. That's what we're looking for. But the group they got now, like this court now, it's been waiting for it for I don't know when, so now it just stacked one way.
The issue to me right now is starting back in the Civil War, is that the group of boys we got in there now, they call themselves justices. They are just that. They're a group of boys, in my opinion. They put themselves ahead of country, and they are allegiance to the president or to some senator or somebody like this. Or they're bought up by some group that's got a lot of money. Maybe it's one of those farm groups or one of those groups who are now taking over the farming business. So what I'm saying is that the people that we got in there, they call themselves Supreme Court justices. Most of them are bought or have an alliance to somebody. And so we never know who they voted for until they vote. Look at all these different bills they come up. There was a time when labor could kind of depend upon people to vote on certain things. The women could depend upon them to vote on their rights. But now, you cannot depend upon anybody. Look at some of the bills that they have approved. They're talking about rolling back the issues around gay issues and whatnot, and farming issues and the labor laws. So they all bought. You just can't depend upon them. So we're going to have to come with a better way of handling that justice.
You take morally. Here's a man that just he looked like a good, decent individual until they check on his record.
Who's this?
And the record, Kavanaugh, and his record took care of itself. That's the reason why they have these hearings and get all this information and bring it to the hearing and discuss these things. The whole overall community, you couldn't ask for a better group of support people to come to the court and say this is the reason why this individual should not serve on the Supreme Court. That's why they come. But here's a situation where the people who represent them, who they vote for, turn right around and did just the opposite from what the constituent asked them not to do. They wasn't picking nobody, they were just talking about, here's the facts on the table. Here is what happened during this table. They dragged this lady name all through the mud. And they on the other side talking about this other individual and his family. And he the one did everything to this lady. But still yet, all of these religious right, black and white, church-going people, conservative and other individuals, turn around and support something like this. So we're going to see what's going to happen later as things, as things materialize and move forward. We can't just, it doesn't happen now and we got to move on.
But you know what, I think that there's a certain amount of people in this country that kind of turn their back on everybody. I'm thinking about Senator Susan Collins from Maine.
Very good.
Those individuals and they decided that they already knew who they were going to vote for, but they just waited till the last minute. Now, last time we were talking about this issue about Kavanaugh in our last program, I made a comment about that the reason why Donald Trump never can do what they do is because white women support their men. And since that time, I had a couple of people who disagree with me about that, but since that time there's been an opinion article in the New York Times that basically said the same thing, that white women go make sure that they can uphold their places as far as their privileges concerned by supporting their men. So my basic principle was that the reason why we have the Donald Trump and people like Kavanaugh in office is because of the white women in this country. It's nothing unusual. Black women marry black men, white women marry white women, and basically we all support each other in that way. But that's basically what I'm pointing out, is that the reason why he's where he is because when it's all said and done, no matter what we think about, white women are going to go vote for white men. That's what we need to understand. And in this election coming up, we got to understand we cannot depend upon anybody but other than ourselves to vote Stacey Abrams in and all the other black people that we want in office.
And you're talking about Susan Collins,
yes,
the senator from Maine, which dragged people along and tease them and all of this kind of stuff because didn't know which way she's going to go. for all of this long period of time and knew all the time what she was going to do. Now this is just pathetic. Here's a situation where this lady, Dr. Ford, versus her. And it's a situation that's not a situation dealing with black or white or color situation, because we have another justice on the court. That they bold and the same thing happened with us. And the support was there, and they turned around and voted him in. And we all know who the individual and what it is. The other justice who was on the court, who went through the same type of situation, and still yet they confirmed him and put him in the court. And his voting record shows that it's just like they put him there, like almost like they can twist him either way they want, or he owes somebody something, because he didn't have no business on the court anyway. From the information that they say, all right, said a person should have these kind of things on their record. It should be blameless. Certain things should happen. If those things are there, then you shouldn't be confirmed. You shouldn't be serving on the court. And so they might as well take that and throw it in the trash somewhere and don't use it anymore, because it's a shame from what just happened just the other day. And there's so much people out there that make it already honoring this individual like he is some supreme or something like that. And he stooped and did all of these things just the other day. And that's what's happening with the people that we see every day sometimes.
But Chester, I just want to make sure that I give the person who wrote this article, it's a New York Times editorial page. It says, "White women, come get your people. They will defend their privilege to the death." It's by Alexis Grinnell. So that's "White Women, Come Get Your People." New York Times by Alexis Grinnell. Just want to make sure I give the people the credits for what they wrote.
I heard that. Okay, let's talk about, and then we'll move from this. The first day on the bench. They said first case in the court. But it's the first day. I think it was on Tuesday. After questions were asked on both sides in an argument over increasing prison sentence for repeaters, and this is something that you're familiar with. Then after all of these other ones were talking back and forth, they said he jumped in with his first question after most of the other justices had spoken. Question from Justice Kavanaugh and the other recently appointee from President Trump team, the two he picked. Other words, he suggested they could vote against the Trump administration with other words saying, with a criminal defender from Florida who is fighting an increase in his sentence from just over 6 years to 15 years or more. What you think about that? That's one of the first cases that they had up there. It's a joke case since he's been there. He just got there, and that's the first case that they had.
Well, you know, the criminal justice system is loaded against most minorities at any point anyway. So they really need to be cutting some of these sentences down, and people should be able to get their sentences lowered, because they had these 3 strikes and all this kind of stuff out for a long period of time. So a lot of us got into jail, and they gave us the max. Like they always did. So I would say that if they can lower the amount of time that people can spend in jail, it'll be a good thing. But I don't believe they're going to do that, because the reason being, Chester, is, you know, I'm always talking about follow the money. The for-profit prisons got beds that need to be filled. And no matter what you say, as long as we can put people in those beds, they're not going to change those sentences. Because my 401k stock invested in one of these prison corporations. So we're not going to run out here and do anything strange. But the bottom line is, as long as I said, follow the money. Wherever the money goes, that's where they're going to vote. And if they're for-profit prisons, there are going to be people that need to be filling those beds. And they need to fill those beds. The Supreme Court is all part of the, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, they're all part of the money train. So they know what to do when they get these things in their hands. So yes, I expect that they're going to let it stay as long as they can. They're not going to shorten it because the bed is going to be taken up.
Just for the heck of it, follow that case to see exactly what's going to happen in the end there. That this guy trying to get more time, and I guess he figured he might get along better in prison than out of prison. But and then I'm going to finish right here, and then I'm going to finish.
No, I don't want them to do that. Don't put it down. Because that follows the old myth that I remember when I first came here to Savannah. I was in something called, I forgot the name of it, it'll come back to it. But anyway, I remember a judge was in a group of Leadership Savannah, I believe. Some judge was in there said that he had young boys who would prefer to be in the men's prison instead of the young delinquent prison because they had all these barbells and things and decorations that they could use. In other words, they could build their bodies up.
Yeah.
Well, I just challenged him right away and said that's a lie. No boy is going to want to be in a place where he's going to be sodomized and whatnot if he knows what's going on. So I don't think that we should let that boy roll his change his sentence. You don't want to set any kind of precedence where if I decided I want to do that, then say, well, we did that last time, so we'll do it again. No, we don't want to set any kind of thing that people get the idea that they can do that.
I was just looking here. We have 51 states and 102 senators from each state. And the thing about it is that, well, it's 102. What happened is, in this situation here, they needed one person. In other words, if Ms. Collins from Maine would have voted the other way, then Kavanaugh would not be a Supreme Court justice today. Now, it just goes to show you, when the framers, when they put all of this stuff together, Maine is one of the smallest states in the country. 1.3 million individuals, one of the smallest. And that small state representative was able to swing the tide of all of this thing. Now, what happened is that they needed, the Democrat, the other party needed 2 individuals to vote the right way, not the wrong way, but to vote the right way. And what happened is that, so they got one state, which is the state of Alaska, which voted the right way. And then we held on with a female here in the small state, and so it threw it off to where it had to be a tiebreaker. So again, we're looking at a situation, and you need to understand the law and how it works. Here's a situation where the vice president, that's a vote in the hole, automatically was the one who broke the tie and who caused this to happen. Now, I'm not saying anything against party-wise, Democrat or Republican, because either way, that's the law, and that would have happened. But anyway, I just wanted to let y'all understand and know that situation and what went on.
I just want to say again, quoting from this New York Times article, "White Women Come Get Your People." This is what they said about Susan Collins.
All right.
They said that Susan Collins is what they call she was called gender traitors. These women are gender traitors, to borrow a term from the Dyson TV series, The Handmaid's Tale. they may standing by the patriarchal full-time job. These women who support them show up at the Capitol wearing Women for Kavanaugh t-shirts, but also probably tell their daughters to put on less revealing clothes when they go out. So in this article, this lady, Alexis Grinnell, called Susan Collins a gender traitor, because she was she voted against them on what they thought was an obvious women issue.
Okay. Another thing about her, but we're not going to discuss this tonight, at other different times, she got one of the lowest voting record on wrong versus right of the people who she represent and protect on issues and things for them to survive and all different things. I wouldn't name them all tonight, but her percentage, her voting record, she got a lifetime voting record, and I don't know how long she's been up there. She's been up there a long time. A lifetime voting record of 13% against all the things that pension and insurance, everything for people to survive. But that's her record. That's her voting record. So let's move a little further because we got so much more to talk about. And I guess we'll get right into the thing here, West, that I'm looking at several heading of newspaper. And I see the other day where President Trump addressed a crowd doing a campaign rallies on Saturday in Topeka, Kansas. You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw it and I thought about when it says Topeka, Kansas. And it's another thing that happened on that particular, in that particular state and city. State and city. And that's dealing with education and the Supreme Court. Brown versus the Board of Education. That's where it happened at, in Kansas. So I thought about that, and I thought again about people, churches, in other words, 501c3 organization. Civics organization, churches, labor, other organizations that out there rallying and helping the downtrodden, the poor, the one who need help. And letting you know right now, this midterm election coming up is at stake, and it's one of the most important there is. We cannot sit by any longer. You and churches and other organizations and what have you, you got to get out there and get people to the poll to vote. You got to do everything you can because it's survival time. And that's what needs to happen. Now here's a situation where President of the United States jump on Air Force One, and every time Air Force One moves, it costs us some money, taxpayers. But nothing, never said about that. He can move it and he can go anywhere he want to go to campaign for all of these people.
Against us.
And then we got some individual in a church or somewhere else scared to death. If somebody hollered, well, we're under the 501 or one of those type of situations, you better try to get out there and vote and do what you're supposed to do. Don't play around because it is survival time. And what you think about that?
Well, I think that what we have here is that if you watch on television, these televangelists, these major white ones, they understand the 501c classification. And I think that if it's a black church, if people want to do whatever they want to do, is the bottom line. I don't think it's the 501c problem. It is that we got a lot of ministers who do not want to be involved with anything in the community. All they're interested in is having people on Sunday morning bring them funds to them, put it in a tray, and they take it down to the local bank the next day and be kissing and carrying on. They're not very interested in the community. So, because every Sunday in my church I get up, I remind the people, listen, that I'm a member of the church but also live in the community, and I say to them, brothers, you all need to get out and vote. You need to take every one of your brothers with you, every one of your son-in-laws, any male in your family is 18 and can vote, you need to carry them to the polls. We have been dependent upon the sisters to get us through for this time. And I just want to tell them, you can stop waiting for white women and Hispanics to carry us over. Nobody is as interested in our needs as we are. So we need to make sure that we get out and get our folks voted. So on Sunday morning, instead of talking about all the different things that they're going to do in the week, I guess most of these churches have their doors open for something during the week. But do they need to be talking about what we need to do at the polls? And that is what this is. And you know what's going to happen? A lot of the mainline churches are losing membership, and the reason we are losing membership is because we are not relevant in the community. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, you all think you're safe, but you're not. As soon as the young brothers and sisters realize that you all are not about anything in them, they're going to leave, and they're going to establish churches themselves. So just keep preaching nonsense in the pulpit, okay, and see what happens. The young people are leaving in droves to their phone, going to churches where they think that they're thinking they're going to get something else. But my point to the young people who leave our church, any church, if you don't carry something with you when you get there, you're going to find nothing. But the bottom line is, we need to get our churches in line. Everybody else, I guarantee you, if you were to go to certain churches in the community, I won't call their name, you will find them telling people in a nice way, and maybe kind of a quiet way, who to vote for. Go to our churches, everybody sitting mum, well, we'll wait till we get to heaven. Jesus will make it all right. Well, just keep sitting there thinking, okay, that's exactly what they keep saying. Instead, I'm telling you, Chester, this upsets me because what I'm talking about, if every black church in Savannah was to encourage their membership to make sure that everybody in the congregation voted, whether they can send somebody and say, we can do some great things in this country. But no, they're not. They think, well, I'm not supposed to be dealing with anything in the community like voting. God sent me here to lead the flock. Well, let's see where God's going to lead you.
And see, the thing about it is that education, like you said, that's all they got to do is deal with political education. You don't have to tell nobody who to vote for. You don't even have to do it, because you can look at the record, you can look at the scale, you can look at their record of how they vote on issues that support people. And you will know automatically you ain't got no business voting for somebody who ain't voting to protect your interests, whether you're local, state, or national. And that's one thing about my church and my pastor. You tell them in a minute, go and vote. Please go to the poll and vote.
I just want to say something about your pastor.
Okay.
I rather have to talk good about Baptists, but I'm going to break my presence tonight. Your pastor received an award from the NAACP the other night. I was very well impressed with the fact that, number one, he brought a young person to make the presentation on his behalf, to tell people about him. And I thought that if all the people that we were giving awards to, I thought that was the best deserved one because of the way he works in the community, but because he brought a young person that he's gotten involved with, that talked about who he was and how he felt about this. And so what I'm saying is that sometimes we have organizations that make the right decision. I thought that was a wonderful thing to do for Pastor Tillman, and I appreciate Pastor Tillman leading that young man on to be involved in ACP. But let me tell you what, Chester, other churches can do that. We have what we call Bible study during the week. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody was to interpret the scriptures to see how Jesus dealt with the political times that he was in? And we talk about having Sunday school and stuff like this. We need to make the Sunday school and the scriptures relevant to the times that we're dealing with right now. But I'm not saying anything else about the 513C. They know where they can find the information from.
Thank you. Wes, we're going to talk a little bit more politically for the rest of the show, but before we get on the state of Georgia where we live, we got to talk about that. But leading up to that, let's talk about a few other states where they are interested, because I was watching some of the forums and some of the other different things that was going on this week. And one of the places is Michigan.
Yeah.
I thought about Michigan because I lived in Detroit, Michigan for a period of time. And so I know right now a lot of people up there, and I have a lot of family members and other friends and things who live in Michigan. So this was interesting. I was watching the other night, and I was watching the candidates with the forum. It was a intelligent, smart young man. His name is John James, running for U.S. Senate, that's United States Senate, to represent the state of Michigan, a Republican. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat, but it tells you something about your record and other kind of thing. Now, he's running against an incumbent. I got a lot of information and looked at it and read some of it, had a chance to read all of it, but just some of it. And she has been up there for quite a long time. She's a senator. She's an incumbent. Her name is Debbie Stabenow. And she, and he's running against her. So I was listening at them the other night in the debate, and then reading a lot of information that he was saying back and forth. But one of the key things that really turned me off with him, and I'm going to be honest with you, is if he had just went up there and talked about various things. But one of the main things that turned me off with him is already he up there almost stooping and molding down to the President of the United States, President Trump. And so anyway, I was reading some more stuff, and I will be making a few phone calls up there, talking to some of my friends and what have you, telling them, don't get fooled by the color or this or that, but deal with issues and how they live up there, and they know these people record and how they vote and what they're campaigning on and what they're talking about. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, let me just read a little bit about who he is. So
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
This black guy is a West Point graduate with 2 master's degrees. He's an Iraq War helicopter pilot. He's the chief executive officer. He's the first black Republican ever nominated for a U.S. Senate seat in Michigan. His name is John James, undoubtedly stands out. His next mission, trying to defeat Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow, who has rarely lost in her nearly 44-year political career. Not only is the 3-term becoming popular with voters, she again, as in her 2012 and 2006 re-election campaign, is benefiting from electoral tailwinds. Midterms are traditionally difficult for the president's party, and energized Democrats are motivated to bounce back after Donald Trump's razor-thin victory in the state. Well, what I want to remind people of is that this is something that's very important. The Republicans do not have anything that they can raise the base right now. One of the things that they started lying about, if you watch on television, and all the veterans in this thing too, is health care. They have all of a sudden decided that they were going to adopt the idea that pre-existing conditions that they will protect them. They've already started telling the lies they will do that. They have twice tried to kill Obamacare. It's in the last session. So now they're running and telling everybody that they are going to make sure that they are protected their health care. So what we need to tell black people and all the people who support the Democrats, do not buy the lie that they're going to protect pre-existing conditions, because they've had an opportunity to do it ever since they've been in charge, and they have not done it. So I guarantee you, if you listen to the young man long enough, I guarantee you he would come around somewhere and say that we are going to protect pre-existing conditions and Medicare and Social Security and all that. But that's just the story that they're telling now that they're late in the political season.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to move on. U.S. Senate seat for the state of Mississippi. Mississippi. Here is a guy's name is Mike Epstein, I think a Democrat in a red state. It could head to a runoff in the November election. Some information here on that. It push fast forward. It could. That's other words. What it says here is this could be a seat that Republican. Let's say Republican Senator Candy. The name is Hyde Smith, I think. She is the have to be the incumbent, I guess. But anyway, that person has, percentage-wise, got 38% of likely voters prefer Smith. And then we have 29% is supporting Epstein. And 50, now that's that percentage with those two. They're the highest vote getter. They said 15% pick GOP state senate, in other words, this is a state senator, Chris McDaniels. And this is coming from the NBC News poll, which happened Thursday the 15th, Tuesday the 15th. And then they said 15% of the other votes are undecided. Then they got another candidate in here. He's a nonpartisan candidate. Got something like 2%. And so, and it goes on, Mike Epstein, a former U.S. Agriculture Secretary of the United States, who represent, he was under Bill Clinton, but he was agriculture, United States agriculture secretary. And that's what's happening in Mississippi. This could happen, and if it gets to a situation where it's a runoff, then it will be between the two highest vote getters.
But didn't we just see on television that it was in Mississippi that they turned a busload of senior citizens around who wanted to do early voting? Was that Mississippi?
I think that would happen in Georgia.
Was that in Georgia?
Yeah. I think some people in the Savannah area know something about one of those buses, but it happened in Georgia. That particular one, yeah. Mm-hmm. So now we want to move on, fast forward, and I'm going to turn this over to you, is for you to share with us some information on a young man who's running for governor for the state of Baltimore, Maryland, right. And a person that we all know a lot about because he was one of the heads for the NAACP for quite a while. And you want to give us some information, a little information on him?
We're talking about Ben Jealous, who's a civil rights leader, community organizer, investor, Stardust for Good, educator, former investigative journalist, and a Rhodes Scholar who has spent his life bringing people together to get big things done. He specializes in building diverse coalitions for change and holding government leaders accountable to the needs of everyday people. Now this is something we'll talk about. Ben's Maryland roots go back generations. His grandparents lived in Baltimore, where Ben's grandfather worked on the B&O Railroad and his grandmother at Planned Parenthood. Ben's mother grew up in McCullough Homes public housing complex in West Baltimore and helped to integrate Western High School in 1954 as a member of the NAACP's Youth and College Division. Ben's father was one of a small number of white being jailed during the Congress of Racial Equality's efforts to desegregate Baltimore's downtown business district. Okay. At age 35, Ben was named the youngest ever national president and CEO of the NAACP. During the depths of a national recession, Ben guided the NAACP through an unprecedented era of growth, nearly doubling the organization's revenue in just 5 years. Online activists grew from 175,000 to more than 600,000, while donors increased from 16,000 per year to more than 120,000. The NAACP's membership increased 3 years consecutively for the first time in 20 years under Ben's leadership. That's Ben Jealous, who's the Democratic nominee for the governor of the state of Maryland.
Thank you. I wish him all the luck. I see something on there that we went to school. That kind of impressed me a great deal. I think it was not somewhere over that's all that impressed me. I just wanted as we were reading through it, is how the people, how qualified this young man is, and I just wish him he got all the credentials, he got everything that he need, but you know, a lot of times, people look just the other way, so I hope that they open up their minds and make sure that they vote for the right person.
Well, let's just give a little bit more information about it. Ben currently works as an investor for K-Port Capital, an investment firm that invests in companies working to create progressive social change. At Kapoor, Ben manages the Baltimore office, where he has invested in several Maryland companies working to make our state stronger. Now, this is information you're interested in. Ben is a graduate of Columbia and Oxford universities and comes from a long line of activists. He's also the proud father of 2 children who attend public schools.
Thank you very much, Wes. And so we wanted to share that information with you all because, you know, we sort of, we are now all over, so people can check us out and listen to us everywhere. So that's why we want to touch base in other areas where people live, share that information with you all. That's what we'll be doing in the future. Now, Georgia on my mind.
Georgia.
Election Day, November the 6th, 2018. And I thought about looking at an article, not looking at a program the other night, dealing with the Voting Rights Act. And I see where Lyndon, we used to call him LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, President, signed into law the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And today, October 24, 2018, the Voting Rights Act is being attacked all over the United States, but especially in the state of Georgia. Now here is at that time, a Democrat president. But remember, the role had switched since Johnson was president in 65 versus the Republican Party when Lincoln was president in 1860 and 61, 62, along that period of time. It shifted altogether. You don't have no more moderate type of individual who helped free slaves and dealt with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment during that period of time, and abolitionists in the Union Army and all of those things. It was just the opposite. So Lyndon Baines Johnson stood up and did a remarkable speech talking about this Voting Rights Act to give individuals an equal chance, an equal opportunity to vote. Make it even, an even playing field. And today, the conservative people, the fact is, you're doing it every day. You're trying everything you can, everything, to turn back the tide, to don't let black people and Hispanics and other individuals, or just people as a whole, to give them the opportunity to exercise their voting rights. Here's a situation where we read history and we talk about the voting during 1865 and 1866, 67, before Reconstruction, or during that period of time, way back. And we think about that, and we think about they talking about counter bars, the suds or something in the soap, and marbles in the jar. Yeah, and all of these other different things. But today, with all of the technical things and stuff that they got, they are even being more successful in some some of the technical things that they're using now. And this is why we have to fight and fight and fight every day to make things better for individuals. You as white, you as black, male, female, doesn't matter but your gender, we got to fight together for justice to make things better. It is our duty and our responsibility to do these things. Wes?
Well, I just want to say that in the 1960s and times earlier, a lot of black people died. And we have some white counterparts that have died for civil rights. It appears that there's a lot of us in today's world who forgot all the blood that's been shed. We forgot all about all the many people who were hung for nothing. We forgot all about the people who worked from sun up to sundown and had nothing at the end of the year. That their kids could not go to school. That we were just denied all kinds of things. But a lot of people died during that period of time because they would refuse to be held down. And now today, in this day and time, we have young people who decide that they have no reason to vote. Yet and still they complain about the fact that their kids don't have food stamps. They complain about the rent is too high. They complain about the government puts them in prison for too long a time. Yet when they get out and they can vote, they don't vote. They claim they have no reason to vote. Well, you cannot expect other people to carry the burden for you all the time. There's a lot of us out here struggling every day to try to get things done. But we need you to step up to the plate, brothers and sisters. So I'm telling you right now, too much black blood and white blood has been shed for us, for all of our principles and things, for us to turn our back at the voting booth now. We need to go to the polls and we need to vote out the new Klan. Yes, I said the new Klan. They're in new suits now. They're going to Harvard, they're going to Yale, they're going everywhere. They're going to Mississippi State, they're going down to Florida, they're going everywhere. They're still here with us. The grandsons of Jeff, the Confederacy is still with us. And as I always tell Chester, if Lincoln hadn't done what I wish he had done, he would have shot all those people because they were treating us, then we wouldn't have their grandkids to fight down with.
Wes, you got some stuff that I would like for you to read off. Is that, here I was looking at, and that's information during the week, and then I was looking at, and they repeat some of that at a forum I was looking at last night. And, but this is what we're talking about now, and this is happening right here in the state of Georgia. You want to read out some of that, and then we'll discuss this before we go there.
How they're trying to suppress the vote?
Yes.
Okay, they're talking about his campaign spokesman. They're talking about Kemp, who is the Abrams guy who's fighting against Abrams. His campaign spokesman, Ryan Mahoney, said in a statement that because of Kemp, it has never been easier to vote in our state, and pointed to a new online voter registration system and a student engagement program implemented under his tenure. Kemp is fighting to protect the integrity of our elections and ensure that only legal citizens cast the ballot, Mahoney said. Under the policy, information on voter applications must precisely match information on file with the Georgia Department of Driver Services or the Social Security Administration. Election officials can place non-matching applications on hold. An application could be held because of an error, an entry error, or a dropped hyphen in a last name, for example. Applin Nunez says she never saw any notice from Kemp's office indicating problems with her application. An analysis of the records obtained by the Associated Press reveals racial disparity in the process. Georgia's population is probably 32% black, according to the U.S. Census, but the list of voter registrations on hold with Kemp's office is nearly 7% black.
Now here's a situation where we're talking now about the state of Georgia. We're talking about a young lady who is running for governor of the state. We're talking about a young lady, if she is successful, it will change the history of this whole United States if this happens. So this is worrying people to death. They shouldn't worry them so much. As long as it go honest and be done with it the right way, then that's what needs to happen. But this is not what's happening here. Here's a situation where the Secretary of State, who is over all of this particular, the voting thing, that's his position. and he is running for governor. So what he should have done, he should have stepped down. Somebody else should be running that department, but this is what they're doing. They're doing all of these things to stop people from voting. They're taking the votes away. I'm looking at the situation where so many people are being purged, however they do it. And here's a situation I look at here, and this is what they're writing in the newspaper. They said they canceled. Now this is just right here about canceled over 1.4 million voters, registered voters, since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the other day, nearly 750,000 registered voters were canceled or taken off the roll along in 2017 alone, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and all of this kind of stuff is what we have to deal with right now. All of this is trying to take this election, to keep this young lady from winning this election coming up. So you're the voting and the ones who are watching this show. These are facts and what you need to do, and we will be talking about this on the next show. Maybe the last one, but we'll be talking about this again. We'll start off talking about this. But it's so very important that everybody go to the poll and vote. Listen to information that the candidates are talking about. Who will be protecting your rights and your privilege and everything else versus the other ones. And check the lies and things they're telling, because that's what they're doing. So check all of that out for yourself.
I just want to
You want to say something before we leave?
yes, all the young people, all those of you who walk around teeter to your phone all day long, why don't you take out a few seconds to determine whether your voting status is correct or not. There's an organization called vote.org, VOTE.org. Check your voter registration status. I'm telling you, it only takes a few seconds, and then you can pass that on to your friends on Facebook and all the other social media. But this is an opportunity for you to know where you stand before you go into the office. But the most important thing, as Justin and I have tried to point out to you, you know one thing, it's sort of like this. You know, people say in the church that if God gave you the ability to sing and you don't sing, you let it take it away. And so you know what, God has given us an opportunity to take over some things here in the state. If we don't do it, God is going to let things land as they are. I've always said to Chester that Donald Trump was our Philistine in the bush, and we look like it's turned out to be that way.
You have been watching the Dunham Report, where you, the community, come first, keeping a focus on the future. So subscribe to our channel. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. See you next week. Good night.